Welcome back. We're talking with David Valadao, Kristen Olson, and Linda Haldeman about this year's state budget. Governor Brown campaigned on the pledge that there would be no new taxes without a vote of the people. And it's looking like getting a temporary extension of a tax increase on the ballot and getting it passed this summer may be a mountain too high. Without any increase in the state revenue, there will have to be drastic cuts in many state programs that the public has come to take for granted, like education. So, do you think the voters are ready for an all-cuts budget?
I'm not convinced that that is the only alternative available to us to save money. Revenue comes from jobs, and when we do things that create jobs, we actually don't have a need to raise taxes because our tax base goes up. I'd like to see us do regulatory reform regardless of what else is done in the budget, because that is what is costing California its jobs.
But how do we solve the budget this year? I mean, the budget is due this year. How do we solve that if we're not going to go toward taxes? Money's got to come from somewhere. Do we kick the can down the road? Do we do bonds? Do we use accounting gimmicks like they've done in the past? Or do we bite the bullet and just do the cuts?
I don't believe in gimmicks. They haven't worked before. They've simply brought us to where we are today. But there's plenty of opportunities to make government more lean. And we do see that our problem is we like to spend a lot of money and not set priorities. In my view, priorities should be public safety, including fire, education, health. I don't understand why we have so many duplicative agencies and departments and places that suck up a lot of taxpayer dollars, and yet they don't benefit our state.
But the question is $12 billion. That's the question. I mean, are you saying that there's, and they've already cut $12 billion, which is 15%, and now if this doesn't happen, tax increase doesn't happen, it's going to be another 15%. So we're talking about a 30% reduction in the state budget. Are you saying that there's 30% of fraud, waste, and abuse and duplicative services in state government?
I think that there is, but more important, what we will see is a quicker economic recovery, and it'll take us out of this recession. We'll grow out of it instead of tax ourselves out of it. I'm not thinking just about today's budget. I'm thinking what is going to happen for the Central Valley for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. This is where I live. It's my home. I don't want to be in the same place 5 years from now.
Well, we do have to deal with this year's budget, so what do you think, Dave? Do you think that we can go to an all-cuts budget?
I've actually seen a lot of areas in the committees I've sat on that we did not make the cuts we should have. There's vehicles that are being replaced that have no need to be replaced, and we're spending money because one regulatory agency...
Now, you're a farmer, right?
Yes.
And so you use, probably your tractor is, what, 30 years old?
No, actually I have some newer tractors.
Do you have some newer ones?
I have a couple
Most
old
farmers
ones.
I know, they hold on to those tractors for a long time.
Well, we try to save money, but when there's an opportunity to buy a new piece of equipment, you buy it, but you buy it for the right reasons. Right now, we've got people forcing another agency, forcing a government agency to spend millions of dollars on new vehicles that they're perfectly fine. You've got agencies in California that run at a cost 10 times the national average. Why aren't we making cuts in those departments and looking at those to make the savings?
Well, I wanted to put something, a graphic up, that the LAO was asked to put together an all-cuts budget and what it might look like. And so if you take a look at the chart, it talks about K through 12 education, eliminating the K3 class size reduction. Kindergartens would have to start at 5 years old, and enrollment. I have a 5-year-old, so that's relevant, I guess, to me. Community colleges would increase their fees significantly. Universities would increase their fees. Second and third strikes under the 3 strikes law would have to be for serious and violent offenses. Government workers would have to take about a 9% pay cut plus increase into their health care contributions. Transportation funds would be reduced. These are all pretty draconian cuts, it looks like. What are your thoughts about looking at this list of potential cuts?
My response is there's no easy way out of a $26 billion deficit. That's an enormous problem, and there will be pain associated with the cuts that we have to make. But if we continue to kick the can down the road, then we're just being irresponsible. Yes, to answer your question, yes, I would support an all-cuts budget as long as that budget also includes these long-term structural reforms. There's nothing more important than finding ways to grow ourselves out of this economic situation that we're in.
Let me follow up with a quick question. We've only got about 15 seconds, but is this too big a problem to handle in 1 year that we need to phase in the correction as opposed to, is it too much too soon?
Some of it we might have to do some phasing in, but we can't continue to delay the problem. That's what we've been doing. So you'll hear a lot of talk about how we're going to shut down schools for 5 weeks. Well, you'll see in that LAO proposal, there's nothing even close to that with an all-cuts budget.
I think you just scared a lot of parents shutting down schools
and
for
that's
5
just
weeks.
not going to happen. But people are talking about that. We have to make reasonable programs and cuts, but there is going to be some pain.
Okay, well, when we come back, we'll talk about public employee pensions and whether or not they're costing the state too much money. That conversation when we return. This is the Maddy Report.